If you've ever said good job to your kid when they finished a drawing, put their shoes on, or finally did something without melting down, this video is for you. And before you tense up, I'm not saying you're a bad parent. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. In fact, you're probably saying good job because you care, because you want your child to feel confident, seen, encouraged. But here's the uncomfortable part. What if the most normal, most loving phrase we all use is quietly teaching kids to doubt themselves? What if good job doesn't build confidence, but slowly trains kids to look outside themselves to decide if they did well? If that even might be true, you'd want to know. So stay with me, because this is one of those parenting truths that feels backwards at first. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me be very clear about something first. Almost every good parent says good job. We grew up hearing it. Teachers say it. Parenting books recommend praise. And honestly, it feels kind. You're not trying to manipulate your child. You're not chasing obedience. You're trying to do the opposite. You want them to feel capable. You want them to believe in themselves. You want them to feel proud of what they do. And in the moment, good job feels like the fastest way to give that boost. So if you're thinking, okay, but my parents said it to me and I turned out fine, that reaction makes total sense. This isn't about blaming parents. It's about understanding how kids' brains interpret language, not how we intend it. Because intention and impact are not always the same thing. And once you understand that difference, you can keep encouraging your child without accidentally undermining their confidence. Here's the part that most people miss. When a child hears good job, they're not actually learning why what they did was good. They're learning who gets to decide if it was good. And very early on, kids learn that the answer is you, the adult, the authority, the external voice. So instead of thinking, did I try hard? Did I improve? Am I proud of this? Their brain starts asking, did I get approval? Did someone notice? Did I do it the right way? That's the shift, and it's subtle. But over time, it matters. Psychologists call this the difference between internal validation and external validation. Good job isn't harmful because it's negative. It's harmful because it's empty. It ends the learning loop. There's no information, no reflection, no ownership, just a verdict. And when kids grow up relying on verdicts, confidence becomes something they receive, not something they build. This isn't just a feeling or a theory. It's something psychologists have studied for decades. One of the most famous lines of research comes from Carol Dweck, a psychologist at Stanford. Her work looks at how kids interpret feedback and how that interpretation shapes motivation. Here's what they found. When kids are praised in a general way, good job, you're so smart, you're talented, they're more likely to develop what's called a fixed mindset. That means they start believing success is about who they are, not what they do. So when things are easy, they feel good. But when things get hard, they avoid challenges. They give up faster. They feel failure means something is wrong with them. On the other hand, when kids are praised for effort, strategy, or progress, they build a growth mindset. They see mistakes as information. They keep trying longer. They're more resilient. Same child, same ability, different language. And over time, language becomes belief. Let's make this concrete. Picture two kids doing homework. Both struggle with a math problem. Both feel stuck. One kid has learned, when I succeed, adults say good job. So when the answer doesn't come easily, their brain jumps to, maybe I'm not good at this. I don't want to be wrong. I'll wait until someone helps. They hesitate. They shut down. The other kid has learned something different. They've heard things like, you kept trying even when it was hard. That strategy didn't work. What could you try next? I noticed you didn't give up. So when they're stuck, they don't see it as failure. They see it as part of the process. Same frustration, different interpretation. And this doesn't just show up in school. It shows up when kids learn to ride a bike, when they mess up socially, when they try something new and feel embarrassed. The child who needs approval freezes. The child who owns their effort keeps going. That's the difference we're talking about. Not better kids, not smarter kids, more self-trusting kids. So if good job is basically a conversation ender, what should you say instead? Let me give you 4 alternatives that are backed by decades of psychological research. Alternative number 1, describe what you see. This comes straight from Montessori education. Instead of judging the work, just observe it. So when your kid shows you a drawing, try this. You used blue, green, and purple, and you filled the whole page. Or you put your shoes on all by yourself. Notice what's happening here? You're not evaluating. You're not saying good or bad. You're just reflecting back what they did. And here's the magic part. When you do this, the child gets to decide if they're proud. The pride comes from inside them, not from your verdict. Alternative number 2. Highlight effort or strategy. This is what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls process praise. Instead of praising the outcome, praise the process. You kept trying different ways until you figured it out. You stayed focused even when it got hard. That took real perseverance. Here's why this matters. When you praise effort, you're teaching your child that success comes from what they do, not who they are. And that difference is everything. In one famous study, researchers praised one group of fifth graders by saying, "You must be smart," and another group by saying, "You must have worked hard." Then both groups were given a really difficult test, and everyone struggled. The "You're smart" kids, their performance dropped by 20% on the next easy test. They gave up. They felt like failures. But the "You worked hard" kids, their performance went up by 30%. They saw struggle as part of learning. One phrase, completely different outcome. Alternative number 3. Ask open questions. This one is absolute gold. Instead of telling your child how to feel, ask them to reflect. What was the trickiest part? How does it feel to finish it? What do you like best about it? These questions do something powerful. They turn the moment into self-reflection instead of waiting for your approval. Your child starts building their own internal evaluator. And that internal voice? That's confidence. Real confidence. Not the fragile kind that disappears the moment no one claps. Alternative number 4. Notice the impact on others. This one is especially powerful when your child shares, helps, or shows kindness. Instead of saying, "Good job sharing," try this. Look at your brother's face. He's smiling now that you shared with him. You're helping your child see the real reason to be kind. Not because it earns praise, but because it affects another human being. This builds empathy. It builds internal motivation. It shifts them from performing goodness to actually being good. One last thing, and this matters. Saying good job once in a while isn't going to ruin your child. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Parenting is thousands of tiny moments, not one phrase. What shapes confidence isn't a single sentence. It's the pattern over time. So don't stress. Don't overcorrect. Just notice. Because confidence isn't something we hand to kids. It's something we help them build from the inside. If this changed the way you think about praise, share it with another parent who means well, but might not know this yet. And if you want more evidence-based insights that actually work in real life, subscribe. Not for parenting perfection, but for better questions.